Welcome, everyone, to another episode of NCBA's Coffee Break. I'm Nathan Wellner, I'm your host, and today we have a really exciting guest, Stacy Stein, who's part of our leadership, and this is part of our Getting to Know Your NCBA Leaders series. So, Stacy Stein, welcome to NCBA's Coffee Break.
Thank you.
Why don't we go ahead and get right to it and start talking about, your involvement with NCBA. So, why is serving as an NCBA leader such an important part of your professional life, and how does it affect your law practice?
It's important to me to be a part of the leadership because I feel like as a small firm, we are underrepresented, even though we're a majority of the membership of NCBA. A lot of small firms can't spare the man hours to be part of the leadership. And I figure you can sleep when you're dead. So I like overcommitting. So I figure this is a good way to do it. And I love the education of NCBA drew me in, and that is why I've been on the education committee and the co-chair of the education committee at this point. And as far as affecting the practice, I feel like I'm a better attorney and my firm is more compliant because I'm in the know as a board member and a member of NCBA. I can keep up to date on all of the things going on in our industry and make sure that my firm, my little firm, is just as compliant as some of the big guys that have a staff of compliance people, where it's just me and my ops guy that are our compliance people.
And so, it's fantastic that you're bringing the voice of the smaller firms to the leadership perspective, because obviously NCBA tries to have something for everyone, and
Yes.
having your voice there is so important. So, what drew you to the practice of creditors' rights law in the first place?
I started off as a paralegal and I was in the creditors' rights field, and then I went to law school, and that's what I knew, what I was comfortable with. And so I stayed in the field and started my own firm very shortly after law school. So it was, I think, being in the creditor rights field, being so much about compliance and efficiency, it just fit my skill set, my personality. When I, started in the workforce in the field that I wanted to be in. So I've been doing this for a very long time, and it fits me.
Yeah, definitely having a passion for the kind of work you do is so important.
Yes.
And speaking of your firm, tell me a little bit about the practice. You're small, but what does that mean? Like, how
Yes.
many attorneys do you have? Do you operate in multiple states? Because you seem
Yes.
pretty busy. You don't sound really small.
No, we are pretty
It's,
small. I
it's
mean,
a,
I've been called a medium-sized firm, which that'd be cool if I actually got to that level. But I started off in 2013, opening my firm right as the CFPB was kicking off, and my friends who I knew in the field told me I was nuts, opening a firm with a hope and a prayer, no clients, by the way, in 2013, right as the CFPB was becoming a thing. And they're like, you've picked the worst time in the history of ever to enter into this field. I always like to do things the hard way. That's why, I do everything backwards. I had a family, then went to law school. And so I just, I have me and one other full-time attorney, and we have two contract attorneys as well. We practice in 5 states. I am licensed in 6. One we don't really practice in anymore, but I make sure that if something happens, I can actually do all the things if that were necessary. So we're pretty small. We have a staff total of about 15 with the attorneys and legal assistants.
All right, but it sounds like you're making sure that you have the ability to serve your clients no matter, what
Absolutely.
comes
Just making sure that those contingencies are covered. And we do practice in Colorado, Wyoming, Nevada, Utah, and have recently entered into Oklahoma, which is where we moved our office about a year ago.
Got it. So I know that you've been part of many legal educational webinars and presentations at NCBA, and you've even brought some of your mentors to our
Yes.
conferences. So, question is, what is the best advice you ever received?
The best advice I ever received, I think, was from a law school professor. He worked in the area of election law and, of course, very politicized. A lot of people, divided upon party lines. And we had people coming in from every party, and they loved this guy, even though he was not, he was completely opposite their views. And he said, I hate his views, but I love the guy. And I learned from that class, and he told us, he said, the only thing you have to sell is your brain and experience, and your reputation. If you mess that up, you don't have anything. So I think that was really important to know, that how you project yourself in the field and in the world makes a huge difference as to what kind of attorney you're going to be and what kind of reputation your firm is going to have because of you. So that was a huge kind of eye opener. All you have to sell is what you know. So
No, that is great advice. And speaking about what you know, now there's so many places to get information. Um, how does AI affect your firm, and has it changed the way you do things? I mean, that's
uh,
the whole new world
it's
out there.
yes, it's still a little new, and we are, because we're small, as we grow, we're trying to implement some of the new technology to grow efficiently and not just grow for the sake of growth. I mean, there's no reason to have 50 employees instead of 15 and still end up at the end of the day with the same kind of profit margin and just more people to manage. So we are trying to, as we grow and get more accounts and clients, we are trying to implement more automation. And I think everybody's doing that cautiously. I mean, obviously, attorneys are risk adverse, so AI is a bit scary. But we are working with two vendors right now, one of which we don't have any processes in place to do the robotic process automation internally. And then we also did launch a conversational AI at the beginning of this year. So we're only about 2 months in, but it's going great. So it's very much structured, but it does respond to people. While we were testing it, somebody said, my cat died, and the AI said, I'm very sorry to hear that. So it has a little bit of empathy built in, I guess, as far as the human interaction piece, but generally it follows a fairly strict script. So
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. And we're getting close to the end of our cup of coffee, so to speak. So, what advice would you give to a third-year law student?
I think it's very important to try out, especially while you're in law school, everything that you can. I mean, I know that I did as many externships as I could do in law school to figure out whether where I'd worked previously was the best place for me. I did a probate externship, I did a bankruptcy law externship, I did a traditional litigation firm where I was doing a lot of research as a law student, and try as many things as you can to figure out where you belong, and don't block anything out as a possibility. I mean, I don't think people think collections is sexy, but sometimes it fits. So, and we're necessary. We're an important part of the economic process. So I think you should not limit yourself and keep your mind open when you get out of law school as to what kind of job you might be good at.
Well, that's great advice, and obviously having a passion about what you do every day makes your job feel like not a job at all. So, fantastic advice. And we're getting to the end of our episode, so I want to thank you again for taking the time to share your background with our listeners, and keep up the great work on the NCBA board. And your engagement is definitely appreciated by everyone. So, with that, thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Stacy Stein, for letting our members get to know you a little better. So thank you,
Thank you so
everyone. Have a
much.
great day.